You're now listening to the Pitchside Peregrines Podcast, your home for all things Athletic Club Boise.
All right, everybody. Before we get into today's episode, quick shout out to KJO Insurance, the first sponsor of the Pitchside Peregrines podcast. Look, insurance premiums suck, but your coverage doesn't have to. They know Idaho and the Pacific Northwest, and they'll actually find you a deal that makes sense. DM them on Instagram at KJO Insurance with Pitchside, or call 208-883-4800 and tell them Kyle and Elias sent you. All right, let's talk some AC Boise.
Welcome into this week's episode of the Pitchside Peregrines Podcast. This is Scouting Our Prey, where I will be breaking down Athletic Club Boise's next opponent, which is FC Naples, coming up on Wednesday, May 13th. In this episode, we'll give you an idea of who FC Naples is, their past successes, so far how they're looking this year, some players to watch out for, and some overall in-depth analysis of how we think Athletic Club Boise can take advantage of this team and provide 3 points on Wednesday's home match. With that, I am once again Kyle-less, and him and his wife are taking in these moments and really enjoying this time with their new daughter. But we are here to talk about a soccer team, and that is FC Naples. FC Naples is AC Boise of last year, let's call it. They were an expansion team that came to the USL 1 fresh and ready for success, and they were successful. FC Naples did finish fourth in their inaugural campaign last year with 47 points, going 13, 8, and 9 with a +8 goal differential. They made it to the semifinals until they lost to One Knox in the semifinals of the playoff bracket, and were unfortunately bounced out of the playoffs and did not make it any further. That's what happens when you lose. They are coached by Matt Poland, who seems to be a guy who's just been in the Naples area and has done a great job coaching this team so far. They did lose some players from this inaugural season, some of which are on Athletic Club Boise, but we'll dive into those players in a little bit. Before we dive into how they're looking so far in 2026, I'd be chastised by Kyle if I didn't show you their home and away kits. They are the same manufacturer as AC Boise, Hummel. This is their home kit. It's nice, pretty. I do enjoy it more than maybe our home kit. Again, I'm a sucker for accent collars and a nice button here, but maybe nothing to cry home about this is amazing, like an AV Alta or other USL clubs. Their away kit, however, is truly nothing to cry home about. It has this nice, topographical underlay, maybe waves, since it is a Florida city, a Florida team, but who knows? Just nothing really jumping out the page, not much pizzazz, and the Hummel chevrons on the shoulders and all their kits just doesn't really blend well with it. So overall, I'd give this probably a 5.5 out of 10. Home kit, probably a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Kits aside, FC Naples is on a great start to the season. So far this season, wow. FC Naples so far has been succeeding just as much as they were last season at the start of the 2026 campaign. They are kind of on a rough spell of losing 3 straight and winless in their last, 2, 3, 4, 5, winless in their last 6. They do have some draws in there, and there are some games against USL Championship or MLS sides in the US Open Cup and the Brinks Tires Cup. that alone, they did start the season on an absolute bender. They are currently 4th in the table, 9 games played in league play, 4 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses with a goal differential of +1. Don't let that goal differential scare you or maybe lull you into a false sense of hope. Yes, they did lose to One Knox 3-0, and yes, they did lose to Spokane 2-1, but they are traditionally, and what statistics are saying, a very defensive-minded team, a very much sweat out a 1-0 victory or a 2-0 victory They are currently tied for the most clean sheets in the USL League One this season with 4, tied with 1 Knoxville. So their goalie is someone who does his job well, similar to a Jonathan Cleaver. He's maybe not tested as much. And looking at the statistics later in this episode, Athletic Club Boise and FC Naples do have some similarities that I'd like to highlight. Overall, the team's been averaging a 6.8 SOFA score, which for a top 4 team in the USL is good. They've definitely had some stinkers, and their Prinks Tire Cup and US Open Cup games are not helping that. They're very much a possession oriented team with 56% of the ball, wanting to really play out of the back, play slowly, and be methodical with how they pick apart teams and wait for their opportunity. With that, they don't do well clawing back into games, or that's not their traditional style. They are not loving to play fast-paced football or soccer. So if Boise can capitalize on that off the rip and maybe score early and have them chasing the game, results might change dramatically than if it was more of a 0-0 affair, similar to their latest AC Boise's latest game against the Charlotte Independents, where anyone can win if it's 0-0 in the 80th minute. FC Naples traditionally, at least throughout the start of the season, did play a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, something of that variety. But due to an unexpected retirement from one of their players in their defensive core, they did switch in this latest game against Spokane to a back 3, back 5, similar to Boise, some kind of 3-5-2 or a back 3 of center backs, and then a blob of a combination of midfielders, forwards, striker, and the like. Gray is the player who slotted in for their retired player, who is traditionally, or at least listed, as a left winger playing right wing back. He didn't have the worst of games, didn't have the best of games, but that is the type of position they are in right now, and maybe spoke to the result as to why they didn't defeat Spokane. Again, Spokane is one of the better teams in the USL so far, and as Boise's seen at home, they're not a team to mess around with. Our friends over at the Forza Naples podcast, we reached out to them and I wanted to pick their brain as to their thoughts on the formation change. They said, I think the new formation was a bit shaky at first, but we kind of settled into the game as it went on. We finally got a goal, so that felt good, but it was too late. FC Naples did score in the waning seconds of this match against Spokane, the 95th minute, and I think it was 96 minutes of added time. And this match is probably the closest we can look at to what a formation would look like. Obviously, SofaScore doesn't have their formation correct and says they're playing a 4-4-2. It's truly going to look more like a back 3, a middle 5, or a middle 4, and a front 3 or 4. How that lays out, we'll see. For all we know, they could go back to their traditional formation against Athletic Club Boise, and this formation was truly just something they saw in the scouting report against Spokane. But just thought it would be something to bring up, that if we do see a back 3, it is a formation that FC Naples is not consistently used to playing, at least in USL 1 matches or live matches this season. With that, I'd like to highlight some players on the team that are ones that are either lethal already or having a great season, and that the Forza Naples podcast pointed out to us. First off, we have Christopher Garcia. Christopher has plenty of experience, as you can see here, playing in the MLS with Real Salt Lake, playing some MLS next time with Austin FC, and some USL championship time sprinkled in. Most latest time was spent at Forward Madison last year. We played 27 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. Didn't light up the score sheet or the stat sheet at all for someone to be highlighted. But this season so far, he's having the best season of his career. Through 11 games, he has 3 goals and 3 assists. The Forza Pod said he can make things happen up front and is very much their kind of cog in their attacking presence and what can cause Athletic Club Boise some difficulties, similar to a Julian Alvarez in the Charlotte Independence match last week, where when he came on at halftime, the defense just didn't have a full recipe to handle him and just was dribbling all over us. So Christopher is someone to definitely watch out. He's number 11. He is a 23-year-old midfielder having a season to remember so far with FC Naples. And the reason for these players, I guess, stepping out of their shell and having so much success is they did lose. FC Naples did lose a key goal contributor from their last year's campaign, but we'll get into him later in this episode. Next up, we have Mark Torres, is what I'm assuming. He's Spanish by nationality. He's 24 years old, another midfielder. The FC Naples pod mentioned that he's a great midfielder and helps with transitions out of the back, which plays to their desire to hold possession, be slow and methodical with how they play the ball, and just continuously wear down a team, excuse me. Mark was with the team last year in 2025, played 34 games, 1 goal, 2 assists through the entire campaign. So far in this season, 13 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists, and obviously through the average SOFA score rank, 7.5 almost, which if you haven't watched any of our videos, a 7 or above is you are having a great or a good above average. You're making an impact in the game, let's call it. So 7.2, 7.4, 7.6, a 7 and a 7.3 in his last 5 games, all showing great impact through passing, scoring, assisting, defense, all those different things. So Mark is number 21 and someone we should be watching out for as well on the defensive side. Finally, for a lot of offensive highlights here is Andres Ferrin, excuse me, a Colombian 25-year-old. Also was with Naples last season, 35 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. This season so far off to a slower start, 12 games, 2 goals, no assists, averaging a 7.0. He did play his years before this in Colombian leagues and then made the transition to FC Naples this last season. Andres, he's got so much pace is how the Forza pod described him. He's due for a goal is what they said. I hope he's not due on Wednesday against Athletic Club Boise. But with that, I think this model of player is something that Boise has struggled with, be it with the Las Vegas game where the left winger of Las Vegas was just slicing and dicing through our defense, or Jerry Desdunes against AV Alta, who is just a dribbler and can slice and dice through the defense. Those kind of archetype players, something I've noticed that at times later in the game when your back three are tired, maybe don't have as much legs in it, they get the better of us. Julian Alvarez against Charlotte Independence. So has me a little fearful. Hopefully the back three of Jake, and Jonathan or Musa can figure out how to handle Andres, Mark, and Christopher effectively on Wednesday's clash. Finally, as I mentioned at the top, they do have 4 clean sheets so far in USL Cup play, tied for first. I don't know if this is fully due to Edward Delgado's presence in net, as SOFA score ratings wise, he's kind of not having a performance that screams off the page. But that is also probably due to the light amount of shots that he sees per match. Similar to Boise, he's only averaging just over 2 saves a game. There's not many shots that he has to see per game. And if you removed the last 2 games where a total of 5 goals were scored against him, he would have had 4 goals allowed through 7 matches. A pretty impressive feat to say, but with the last run of form, giving up 5 goals in the last 2 games, that has doubled his conceded goals. So hopefully that means he is ripe for the picking, and Athletic Club Boise can pick him apart. Excuse me. He was also with FC Naples last year in their inaugural season, 43 matches, 12 clean sheets, 43 goals conceded. through all competitions. Looking just at USL 1, 9 clean sheets in league play. So definitely a talented goalkeeper, don't get me wrong, but maybe speaks more towards their defensive structure and defensive-minded abilities and the lack of total threat in their how they play defense and limiting chances, maybe more so to how the goalie performs and maybe is standing on his head per se. Next, I want to talk about some players who have left the team for one reason or another. First off, I did tease that they had a player randomly or unexpectedly retire. That would be Max Glasser, defensive player. I think a right back or right wing back. That kind of mold. Unexpectedly retired midweek last week, and that caused this defensive jumble to happen. Unfortunately, it did look like it came off of maybe a poor performance against Knoxville, but who knows what that decision was made behind. He did have USL Championship experience and did play 2025 with FC Naples off that right side for the entire season of their back four, who he was playing at back four with a current Athletic Club Boise player in Jake Dengler. Jake Dengler was on FC Naples last year and did have an amazing season with them. Through 29 games played, 1 goal, a 7.2 average SOFA score is a pretty dang good performance from the player that we now love, who's even onto a hotter start this year with 8 games, 7.4. Jake Dengler did get second team all USL for his performance with FC Naples last year. So that is someone on the defensive side that they have lost through another expansion team. They seem to have filled his presence very well with their impressive defensive statistics, but we get him on our side and get the 6'5" gigantic human and the core of our defense for our benefit and not theirs for this game. So watch out for Jake Dengler. He knows these players pretty well, knows the system that they're trying to play, and hopefully can defend against it very effectively in Wednesday's clash. Speaking of defensive losses for FC Naples, Breck Evans is the other player who on FC Naples last year was Jake Dengler's center back partner. It looked like was also USL all second team. 43 games played last season, 2 goals, 7.0. SOFA score record did transfer over to Portland Hearts of Pine. So far, 6 games played, no goal or assists, a 6.5. Not screaming off the page, but definitely was a player who, through end of season accolades, was commended for his performance on the pitch with FC Naples, and he is no longer on the team. As for their huge hole in offensive production, that would be coming from Harson Henderlong, who last year was FC Naples' first team all USL player through 35 games, 16 goals, 16 goals, 4 assists, 20 total goal contributions. Carson did have time with the Indy 11 in the USL Championship, moved over to FC Naples last year and tore it up. Great season for anyone. If anyone's scoring 14 goals and 4 assists in league play, that's a commendable shout. Made a transfer over to the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are currently first in the USL Championship and only undefeated team left in USL as a whole. He has only played 7 matches so far this season, averaging about 30 minutes a game, but does have 2 goals. So definitely making the step up to the championship and trying to grow maybe through the growing pains of coming up into the next league. So that's a look into players that FC Naples has lost, players that FC Naples currently have that we should be keeping our eyes out for, maybe their overall structure between either the 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 look like. With that, we're going to cut to a quick ad break from today's sponsor, and on the other side, we'll take a deeper dive in comparing Athletic Club Boise to FC Naples, along with score predictions and maybe starting 11 ideas.
All right, everybody, quick word from our sponsor, KJO Insurance. Look, Being forced to rely on a GoFundMe might suck, but knowing you have a life insurance policy waiting for your family if anything happens, that doesn't suck. KJO makes it simple and affordable. Please DM at KJO Insurance with Pitchside or call 208-883-4800.
Welcome back in from the ad break. Thanks so much, KJO Insurance, for sponsoring these Scouting Our Prey episodes. As mentioned before the ad, we are taking a deeper dive into comparing the two sides in this segment. Looking at the analytics, Boise and Naples do compare pretty well and are both kind of after the same ideas. Both teams really craving possession and wanting to be the player or the team who's on the ball more. Looking at their stats, FC Naples have played more games but have scored less and conceded more in more matches, which is good for Athletic Club Boise that we are getting a team who maybe isn't the highest scoring team, and at least recently has been letting in quite a few goals. So, interested to see what Coach Miller and the team have in store for this top end clash of the USL table. Looking at their attacking stats, Boise's obviously averaging more goals per game. Shots on target per game, pretty similar in 3.9 to 4. Big chances per game. Again, 2 to 1.5, nothing crazy. Big chances missed. Again, nothing too insane. Ball possession. FC Naples is one of the few teams who possess the ball more in games than Athletic Club Boise so far this season at 56% to 55. AC Boise does have more accurate passes per game, which is surprising to see a team who craves so much possession not pass the ball as much. So interested to see how much their midfielders do progress the ball themselves and try to carry versus having outlet passes at every corner. As I've mentioned a few times in this episode, there's plenty of clean sheets for FC Naples. They are conceding 0.1 less goals per game, but that's minute details. One stat I did see, I don't know if it shows here, is that FC Naples aren't penalized in cards much, but they are one of the most they concede the second most fouls in the USL one so far this season. It's Sarasota with 119 fouls committed. It is Naples with 117. With of those 117, only trying to pick it up on the fly. Let's see. Oh, of those 117, only 1.6 yellow cards per game. So far less cards per game than fouls. So I know the last few home games for Athletic Club Boise have been pretty brutal and pretty hard on the boys and getting harder fouls than normal from the Spokane match to the Chattanooga match. So interested to see how FC Naples comes out and if they're going to be fouling heavier than Boise. To put in perspective, Naples has 117, as I've mentioned. Boise only has 104. So maybe not as polarizing of a number, but still a stat line that showed up as something that was maybe worth mentioning. With that, look if any other things. Defensive wise, again, clearances per game, they do clear the ball a lot. They do tackle a lot. But I think the big things for Boise to succeed in this game are pretty simple. I think if we can do our press that I think Dennis Kostashin and Tumi Moshaban and Philip Mayaka at times have been doing through the season and really stress and put a timer on FC Naples wanting to play this methodical, slow, play out the back game, could cause some chaos, cause some poor decisions and poor passes, and open up passing lanes and interceptions for Athletic Club Boise to capitalize on. So that is the first major note and thing for success. Second, what I think is attack quickly in transition. With a team that is so defensively sound and built on maybe structure, is if we can get a interception and convert that into a high grade chance and maybe show other opportunities of scoring, I know at least people in my section during games are maybe getting a little frustrated with the predictability of this team and maybe the fear of shooting. I don't know if that's a total tactical idea or what the reason for maybe not taking chances outside the box or on the edge of the box that other players or other teams would let it rip versus shoveling the ball out to Nick Moon or Blake Bodley and have them whip in across, or Jake Kroll, whoever it is, and just kind of play this outside to in sweeping cross game and not let a Dennis or a Toomey work some magic and have some goal of the week opportunities. Uh, Third option or third key to success is scoring first. As I've mentioned, FC Naples does not do well when they're chasing a lead. They kind of have to change their whole philosophical idea and how they want to control the games. So if Athletic Club Boise can get out to an early lead and pounce on this team and get one goal at least, maybe two, then FC Naples will have to be chasing this match, getting out of their comfort zone and wanting to open up opportunities to make mistakes and have Athletic Club Boise capitalize on them even more. With that, I think we want to look at the starting 11 for AC Boise. For this match, we can look at Charlotte Independence starting 11 as maybe a guide to what we need to do to succeed. I think the back three, back four, Clearer, I want to say, is a shoe-in. He had an amazing performance last game, stood on his head with the saved penalty. The goal late, I mean, it was just a breakdown of the entire structure. So can't fully blame him, can't fully blame the defense. It is what it is. But Jonathan definitely is showing his goalkeeping abilities after maybe one or two matches where he did nothing wrong, but wasn't really tested much to show that he is a high caliber goalie tender in this league. So with that, really the only question mark is going to be, is it Jonathan Ricketts or Musa in the right center back role? Given that Musa just played, I would say it's going to be one player playing today and then some different players playing on Saturday, since we do have 2 matches in a week. So look for maybe this match to have some Dom Gassos or non-traditional starters starting this game, or vice versa for Saturday's clash against Monterey Bay FC. I think Nick Moon and Blake Bodley are kind of your wingbacks. I was interested to see in the Charlotte game at one point later in the match, Blake Bodley did kind of move into a central attacking position and let Keegan Euler play off the left wingback role. Be interested to see if that's a tactical decision to play moving forward, to let Blake play in more of a attacking midfield, more score heavy chance and not service heavy chance or position. But I do think Blake and Nick are kind of your Flagstaff players in those positions, barring injury or barring maybe changes for resting their legs. I think we do see Philip Mayaka stay in the middle. I think Charlie Adams does make his way back into the starting lineup. Nothing against Dominic Gasso or his performance in this match. I just think it was a short week, and giving Charlie a week of time to come back is beneficial for him still maybe coming back fully from that injury and just being on the more seasoned side. As for the front, I love Dennis. I love Toomey. They're 2 players that I think create a lot of chances and are creative in the chances they make. As for the true striker of the team, we've been getting a lot of feedback from you all, our viewers, that the Athletic Club Boise doesn't have anyone screaming off the page as to I am the number 1 striker or the true number 9 for this team, between Luan Brito or Thomas or Yukon Joe. No one, or Omar even, no one has taken the bull by the horns and said, this is my job. So to me, this position here that Luan Brito is currently showing at is a toss-up. I would love to see a Yukon Joe, Johansson, or Omar get a start and just see what they can do in a match like this. Since we've seen Thomas play and start, we've seen Luan play and start. We haven't seen Omar or Johansson start a match, only come in as 70-minute subs. So that's my opinions. Major changes, see a different striker starting, and probably see Charlie Adams slot into the starting lineup. Besides that, I see an unchanged side. As for the predictions, Kyle and I both were wrong in our Charlotte predictions, so no points were scored there, as close as Toomey was a few times to scoring in that match. As for this Wednesday's clash against FC Naples, Kyle sees the match as a 3-1 victory with Charlie Adams, with an asterisk, scoring the first goal, that asterisk being if Charlie's in the starting lineup. I see it, I don't know. I see it more as a 1-1 draw myself. Just such a defensive-minded team that FC Naples is. Maybe I would love to be surprised, and I would love this clip. If any players are watching to be billboard material, prove me wrong that this isn't going to be a 1-1 draw. I just think given the defensive prowess of this team, it's going to be hard to crack with how we are currently bringing in offensive pressure. But I would love to be in the stands Wednesday night and have another 4-0 ass spanking, and have Jake Dangler in our DMs saying, kick rocks, guys. You predicted us to let in 3 goals, and we didn't. So with that, I do have Jonathan Ricketts being my first goal scorer, again with an asterisk, as long as he is a starter. We'll see. So overall, really excited to see this match. It is another short week for Athletic Club Boise, so you will have a second Scouting Our Prey episode later this week about the USL Cup game, game 2 of group stage play. With that, I thank you all so much. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to or follow us on wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. If you do want to support the pod, please check out our Patreon. It's an easy way. It's $5 a month just to say thank you for all the work we do, and you do get access to some exclusive interviews and exclusive content there as well. So with that, this is Elias signing off for this week's episode of Scouting Our Prey. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoy the show, make sure to like, comment, share with a friend, and make sure you're following the show wherever you listen. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for all updates and future content to come. If you want to help support the pod and get access to exclusive content, early episodes, and bonus perks, head over and check out our Patreon. It truly helps us keep this thing growing. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for being part of the community, and we'll catch you in the next one.